Hello, my name is Todd McCracken. I'm the president and CEO of the National Small Business Association, and we are excited today to bring you some discussion and I think educational opportunities around international trade. There are lots of ways that small businesses can export and find great tools to help them do so, and we're going to explore some of those today. We've got a couple of guys to talk to you about that. From the Export-Import Bank of the United States, which I'm going to call EXIM from here forth, is Mitsu Saito. He's the regional director, and he has been since 2023. He's based in Seattle and serves the whole sort of Northwest, Alaska, Hawaii, Wyoming, and a few other states. And he serves as the key point of contact for businesses looking to access EXIM's programs, which are, I think, more extensive than most small businesses realize. We're going to get into some of that here in a minute. We're also joined by a small business owner and NSBA member, Christenberry. He's the founder and owner of Atlantic Health Solutions, which is a healthcare marketing management firm that serving radiology, oncology, and healthcare organizations. I was about to say nationwide, but maybe worldwide.
Primarily, we produce medical devices, and that's where we use EXIM.
Excellent. Well, with no further ado, thank you both really very much for joining us. And maybe I'll just start off with Chris. Continue with where you were just then. Tell us more about Atlantic Health Solutions, the market you serve, and sort of how exporting became part of your overall business strategy.
Yeah, Atlantic Health Solutions is an umbrella company. Really, primarily for this discussion is Atlantic Medical Products, which is under that umbrella, and we're a medical device producer. We have used EXIM for over 10 years. We sell to 80 different countries. So primarily in those countries, we work with distributors that sell to hospitals, surgeons, primarily plastic derms and so forth. So we make everything is manufactured in the U.S. And while we ship and sell in the U.S., we have a large, probably 70% of our business is exporting to our distributors.
Well, thank you very much. Maybe I'll just turn to Mitsu real fast and just tell us a little bit more about your role. I gave a brief introduction, but tell us more about what you do at EXIM and how you interface with the small business community.
Thank you, Todd, and also appreciate the opportunity to speak about EXIM. Special thanks to NSBA. Mitsu Saito, based here in Seattle. I'm a regional director responsible for business development and outreach. So basically, my role is to represent the EXIM Bank in my region and educate exporters to learn about what our products we offer, and then help them utilize our programs to facilitate export transactions. And we also reach out to resource partners, industry, trade association to do some outreach and do education as well.
Can you expand on that a little bit? I talk to a lot of small business owners. They may have heard of EXIM Bank,
right,
but even some that export don't know all the things that EXIM does and how it can help them. Can you just sort of expand on that just a little bit?
So we are a U.S. government agency founded back in 1934 during the Great Depression. Really, intent was to reduce the widespread unemployment back in those days, and also help re-industrialize to support export transactions through government-backed trade financing. So back in the days, we did a lot of direct loans. Now we do more of a loan guarantee to commercial lenders and non-bank lenders. So we act as a guarantor to help the private sector more be confident to lend monies to businesses here in the United States to export. And also we do export credit insurance. We call it receivable insurance, or sometimes invoice insurance. Basically, it's a insurance that you can purchase from the U.S. government to protect your foreign accounts receivable export invoices from potential buyer non-payment and coverage, commercial and political risks. And so in case of non-payment, you can file a claim with EXIM, and then we pay 90 or 95% of the invoice value.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I know we've done a lot of surveys in addition to just talking anecdotally to small companies, but when we ask them, what are your biggest obstacles to exporting? The number one obviously is finding customers in other countries. But right there behind is how do they finance it? How do they finance what's often a long period of time between when they ship a product and when they get paid, and the risks they won't get paid, as you just described. That's where EXIM really steps in to fill that gap, right?
That's correct. Yep. So we kind of help level the playing field. Companies out there globally, your competitors out there fighting for mutual customers, they're also receiving government-backed trade financing solution just like us. They're all supporting their exporters through export credit insurance, working capital loan guarantee, buyer financing for capital equipment. So we do that by providing more capital access and then also insurance solutions to manage and reduce foreign payment risks.
Yeah. Or Chris, when you started exporting in your company, did you use EXIM right away, or was there a period of time between when you started and you then started using those capital products?
I mean, we didn't, but we also didn't take any terms. So here's the challenge. You want to export, and they ultimately come back and go, well, what's our terms? And that's a risky proposition because, by the time we manufacture, buy all the raw materials, ship it out, and then wait for the shipping, that's a long time to give terms. So really where we use EXIM is we'll have a distributor and after they've had a good track record, or sometimes earlier if they have good financials, they'll come to us and they'll go, oh, can you give us 30-day terms or 60-day terms or 90-day terms? And that's kind of how we initially started. I believe the first country we did it with was South Korea. And we just can't take that risk. But using EXIM, we can take that risk. So it's a relatively easy process. I can say in the last 10 years, we've not even had a claim, because they feel assured.
That's going to be my next question. Right? How did that go if you did, so.
No, we've been very fortunate. So the process is easy. Obviously, the distributors get very nervous at first. Usually what we ask them for, and it doesn't come to us. We say, look, we have a partnership with EXIM. They handle the documents. All we want to make sure is that we get paid and we take the risk out of that payment. They obviously understand that. They'll be asked to submit documentation that, say, a balance sheet or something so that they're legit. We get, sometimes they'll buck that a little bit and say, oh, no, we don't want it. We're saying, look, we're not looking at your financials, but if you're not willing to share your financial, why would I give you terms, And then they'll go. And so we've had small distributors in, Eastern Europe, Asia, South America that have, done this. And then our challenge is to make sure that everybody gets treated the same. So we kind of use it as a carrot and stick with our distributors too. We go, look, we've got a clean track record with the EXIM. If you don't pay timely with this, it's going to hurt all our other distributors, and they understand that. But it's been a really good tool to have in our tool belt because when they come to terms, we can offer them something.
Right. I assume it's really allows you to expand how much business you can do overseas, right?
And like I said, we're in 80 countries now.
Yeah.
We add distributors all the time. I can't go visit every distributor, nor can our sales team, we have to trust, and we do a lot of work making sure we understand them. But really, this is a very helpful thing because they're all going to come ask for terms eventually.
Right. Well, Mitsu, how does this sound similar to the stories you hear from other small companies?
Yes.
In terms of how they're using EXIM?
Very much. Yeah. Yeah. Usually, exporters start out of cash in advance mode. So you ask for 100% up and upfront payment, sometimes 50% down payment, but eventually, your foreign buyers will ask for some sort of a payment terms, net 30, 60, 90 days. But just like Chris mentioned, there's a hesitation, right? You have to think about your own cash flow, right? Think about how you're going to collect in case of non-payment, right? So that's when we, EXIM come into play to put trade credit insurance, export credit insurance, so we can protect from potential buyer non-payment with a fraction of a cost. Yeah.
So, Mitsu, tell us more about what do small companies need to do to get the some of this coverage. What are you looking for when they come to you and ask for your assistance?
Right. So usually one of the regional directors like myself will conduct a client consultation call, and we'll have a conversation with the exporters, do a client intake, kind of like you visit your doctor's office. Your nurse will take some information about you. We do the same with exporters. And then we'll typically recommend one of our trade credit insurance brokers to work with for application process, quotation, and all the way up to policy management. So that's kind of our overall flow. In terms of documentation, Chris touched on earlier, depending on the policy amount the exporter is looking for, we generally ask for ledger experience, trade credit report, credit reference, and also financial statements in some cases, either audited or unaudited financial statements. So it's really depending on the policy amount that export is looking for. So these are kind of like documents that we typically review on our end.
Yeah. So would you say that the typical small company that comes to you for the first time has been exporting, and now they're just looking to leverage your resources for more growth and knock down some of these barriers, or are they first-time exporters?
All, I guess, all of the above. Yeah, often we do engage with businesses thinking about exporting, businesses that are we call it export ready. They have potential buyers either already engaged or identified, or, companies like, Chris's situation, they're already exporting, but never had a chance to talk to EXIM about trade credit insurance or even other products that we offer. So it's really various in terms of their exporting journey stage.
And is your advice to companies to come to you as early as possible in the process, or do you think it's more helpful if they have a little bit of experience in international markets first and then come to EXIM for some help?
Well, our door is open, right? So we always like to talk to exporters or even businesses thinking about exporting, right? Because EXIM's not only to help facilitate export transactions through trade financing, but my role is to also promote exporting in general from the United States. So we always like to talk to businesses at any stages if they wanted to be exporters at some point.
Yeah. So what about you, Chris? Looking back, is there something either you're really glad that you did do that really helped in your export journey, or something that you wish you had done or had known earlier?
I can tell you, we, as I mentioned, we did some select countries that were larger distributors, South Korea, Australia, and so forth. Got a handle on it, and then we felt really comfortable with the process. EXIM Bank is really easy to work with, and it puts them at, it puts the distributors at ease. For us, we have the assurance that we're protected without the onerous responsibility of, collecting all this information. It's something that we can give our distributors to help. So we started small. We don't do it for everybody, but we offer it. I'm glad we have that, as I said earlier, in our tool belt.
Yeah. Well, in our own research for the small business community, we find that it's getting companies over that first hump. There are lots of small companies that have exportable products that are not exporting right now. And once they start with what I'll call a simple country, maybe there's fewer language barriers or other kinds of export barriers, then they get started, and they're more likely then just to go into a period of rapid growth and export to other countries, and that's where they really need some of this assistance. So we're really pleased that partners like EXIM are there. Well, Mitsu, speaking, we're telling all our good news stories here, but do you have what are some of the biggest mistakes that small companies make with their international markets? Are there some things, advice you would give them to sort of do or not do that you see companies doing sometimes?
I guess often, companies or people don't know what you don't know, right? So,
right.
U.S. government, state government, regional resources are out there. They're, promoting, exporting, but sometimes businesses just never had the opportunities to, reach out to them, right? So do some research. Trade associations always help facilitating to promote exporting as well. So talk to your colleagues, talk to your, friends in your community. And perhaps that, hopefully help them reach out to the right resources. And we also do referrals, right? If this is something we won't be able to help, we make referrals within the exporting community. So,
yeah. And that's what we find too. There's lots of assistance out there for small companies, but sometimes it's hard to know where to look because it can be a little bit disjointed sometimes from different sources in different places. So I guess same question to you, Chris. Are there some places that you would recommend that these companies should go to get to assess what they're doing, to get some good advice, so that they don't make some of these mistakes going forward?
Well, I mean, you're the best resource I've heard. I mean, we were using EXIM, and but when I was at one of the last meetings, your team was talking about EXIM, and I go, hey, great, that's a great resource that we fortunately had already used, but it would reinforced that others are using it. I mean, quite honestly, I didn't know. You hear EXIM Bank, you don't know a lot about it. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think the Small Business Association is a great promoter of it, for those companies that are looking. And we obviously always tell I tell my colleagues that are looking for something like this that we use EXIM. I mean, I think a lot of companies are surprised that we do so much international. We need to do international.
As you both know, what we do at NSBA primarily is advocacy for small companies. And a few years ago, it wasn't clear that Congress would reauthorize EXIM Bank to continue to exist. And we really took that on as one of our major policy initiatives because, and tried to help tell the story that EXIM really does serve the small business community because people had it in their heads it was just about big business. And of course it's not, as we talked about here today. So, Mitsu, back to you. Are there new programs? Are there ways that EXIM is changing, evolving, thinking about getting into new markets to help sort of the exporters of the future?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. So, we've recently deployed our community lender enhancement initiative to make some changes to our existing export working capital loan guarantee program. This is ultimately a lender program, EXIM act as a guarantor, so lenders feel comfortable lending monies to exporters here in the United States. We still have U.S. content requirement because our mission is all about supporting American jobs through financing U.S. exports. So we typically look for 51% of more of U.S. content. However, for this new initiative and also changes made to our working capital loan guarantee program, that percentage has been now reduced to 10%. We still look for, final assembly and export to take place from the United States, but also partnership with SBA, Small Business Administration, that we just signed as MOU a few months ago, working with them closely to even more increase the access to small community lender networks. So that should help support small businesses and also medium-sized businesses to access needed export working capital in smaller loan amount, typically in like six-figure range, something typically well supported by SBA, but we're going to be working with them to do even more throughout the United States.
That's great. Well, I think we're getting pretty close to time here. I want to thank you both for joining us. It's been a really great discussion. Mitsu, before we go, though, I want to ask you, if someone's, inspired by this conversation to reach out to EXIM Bank, what's the single best way to do that? Should they go to your website? Is there a local office they should call? What's the best way for them to reach you?
Go visit us at exim.gov, exim.gov. Under contact, there is a way for you to actually call us or send us an email or submit a form. One of us should be able to reach out to you to start a conversation.
Great, thank you. Chris, any final words of advice or encouragement to small companies out there listening to this who either are getting started in this export world or just thinking about it?
It's been a great advantage for us, and just listening to Mitsu about the new initiative on working capital. That's intriguing too, especially if they're going to take a little bit of the risk also. That's exciting too. I've got a note to tell our controller to look into it. So,
please do.
But,
thank you.
It's a global market. We all learn the hard way with tariffs, how it affects everything that we do. And, the EXIM Bank has really assisted our company, and I think it could help a lot of other companies that have something that they want to show the rest of the world. I mean, like I said, a large portion of our revenue comes from outside the U.S., and, we couldn't have done it without EXIM.
If I may add, kind of echo what Chris just mentioned. So 95% of the consumer base really exists outside the United States. And, we have only 5% of consumer base here. So, 70% of, businesses come, generated from, exporting, that really gives small, medium-sized businesses, growth potential, to be, diverse their, business portfolio being domestic, but also having to have that export portfolio. So that should not only to minimize risk, but really help business to grow their revenue base.
Yep, I think that's right. Well, Chris, Mitsu, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Business Association today. We really appreciate your insights and knowledge, and I'm sure we'll be reaching back out to you as we hear from members who want to know more about exporting and how specifically EXIM Bank can help them. So, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you all for joining us out there. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.